हेलो एंड वेलकम टू स्टडी आई क्यू। मैं दिव्यांशी और आज मेरे साथ इस इंटरव्यू सेशन में जुड़े हैं तमिलनाडु से श्रवण आदित्य जी, जिन्होंने यूपीएससी सीएपीएफ 2020 एग्जामिनेशन में ऑल इंडिया रैंक 31 हासिल की है। स्वागत करती हूँ श्रवण आपका स्टडी आई क्यू पर।
Thank you for the introduction, Divyanshi. Thank you for having me. And it is a StudyIQ is a great platform for a lot of aspirants like me. And I have also been referring to some of your videos and some of your materials for my preparation in both the CAPF as well as my civil service preparation.
Shravan, we are very glad that you're here and you'll be sharing your journey of UPSC CAPF with us. So I'll start with a very basic question that how are you feeling now? It has been a long journey for you from 2017 to finally the results are in 2022.
Yeah, it was the feeling has been very great, but it was a sense of relief. That was the first thing that came to my mind because I passed out, like you said, in 2017, and I have been preparing for many exams ever since. And this was really uh, unbelievable. And securing a rank like 31 was, I think, it's by God's grace.
I am sure. Shravan, ये तो हमने बात कर ली हाउ वाज द फीलिंग, बट मैं जानना चाहती हूँ आप मैं सभी दर्शकों के लिए कि थोड़ा सा आप अपने बारे में बताएं।
I'm Shravan Adithya, and I'm from Erode district in Tamil Nadu. And I have done my BTech in mechanical engineering from Shiv Nara University in Greater Noida. And in my final year of preparation, I had the opportunity to listen to an Indian Foreign Service officer who came to our college for a function, and he motivated me to pursue civil services. So since then, during my final year, I decided that I will opt out of campus interview and pursue civil services, looking at all the different opportunities and the different prospects that it has to offer. And after 2017, I have been preparing for civil services, and I also prepared for CAPF from 2019 because uh, during the course of my preparation, I understood that police is a symbol of peace, not a symbol of power. So there is a lot of civil interaction with the police forces, and one can do a lot of good deeds and interact with the civilians more in the public, which is what I felt my strength was at that time. So during from 2019, I prepared for CAPF, and this is my first attempt. And also, my sister helped in my preparation a lot because she cleared the exam in 2019 itself, and she got AIR 52. She is currently undergoing training as assistant commandant in the National Industrial Security Academy in Hyderabad. So as a mix of thing, my preparation started with civils, and I ended up with CAPF. So I think it is a natural organic evolution for most of the aspirants who are preparing for CAPF.
Shravan, I would say lots and lots of congratulations to your parents क्योंकि आप और आपकी बहन दोनों ही assistant commandant बनने वाले हैं. So I'm sure this is a very proud moment for them.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your wishes. I'll convey your regards.
Shravan, ये तो आपने बताया कि final year में when you heard an IFS officer telling about the charms and the how it is so exemplary as a career. CAPF के लिए कैसे specific motivation आया 2019 में?
Yeah, like I said, during the course, usually IPS, Indian Police Service, it was not on the top three of my priorities because I preferred Indian Foreign Service and Indian IAS and then IRS. I was not even keen on joining Indian Police Service, but during the course of my preparation, like I said, the police force, it has much more duties than what meets the eye. So they are the first point of contact between a civilian and the whole administrative machinery. So a normal police officer, he interacts with the public much more than the officers of, say, IRS or IFS. So I think that interaction is what always attracted me, and I wanted to help the public and maintain the law and order and manage all the challenges that it throws. So eventually, I looked at the Indian Police Service in a different way, and eventually CAPF in a different way. CAPF also gives us the equal opportunity to do the same things, and that is why I put Central Industrial Security Force as my first preference as well, because in that force you can interact with the public and you can make a big change compared to all the other forces.
So now, Shravan, we'll talk a little bit about the strategy. So what has been your
Yeah.
strategy specifically to UPSC CAPF?
Specifically, when it comes to CAPF, I have been preparing NCERTs for paper one, and we know that there are 40 different books in NCERTs which we have to cover from class 6 to class 12. So that is the Bible for this exam, and you have to. I also advise the aspirants to read those books and also go through them at least twice more, so that you can have a basic understanding about all the different things and all the different subjects, because the only thing that we know for sure is that the questions come from those books alone. From So do not miss out on those questions from any nook and corner of those books. And then coming to paper 2, we have and yeah, about paper 1, there is also the standard books which you need to refer. For example, Goching Leong for geography, and then Lakshmikant for polity. So those are also the basic and fundamental sources which I think aspirants have to have a look at, and they need to be thorough with that, because if we once we read a lot of books, it is very difficult to retain those information for a longer period of time. So revise it, read it, and revise it. And then for the second paper, that is, we have 200 marks for English here. So basically, they are going to test your English knowledge, your writing fluency, and how coherent you can form sentences, and how meaningful you can make out the topic for essays or arguments, or even for reading comprehension. So for that, I did not have any specific source. I followed the Hindu newspaper for that, because that does the trick for me. So Hindu newspaper के लिए editorial section बहुत important है, and you cannot afford to miss even a single editorial if you are preparing seriously for this exam. It is better to read all the editorials as well as the different news. For example, even the words that they use is also very important, because during 2020, the essays, after the essays, the argument question, they were a little bit tricky compared to the previous years, because there were words like solitude and inconsequential. So those words, if you don't know the meanings of those words, it is very difficult for you to understand, because one of my friends, he mixed up the word solitude with gratitude, and he completely wrote a different essay, different arguments. So those kind of mistakes you cannot afford to make, and if you're really serious, you need to improve your vocabulary as well as go through all the important articles that comes in the newspaper. And personally, I followed the newspaper in my mobile phone only. Many people prefer the physical newspaper, but I feel that is not the best use of my time. So I stayed in touch with the news, not with the newspaper, if I can say so.
श्रवण,
Yeah.
आपने बहुत ही अच्छे से समझा दिया पेपर 1 और पेपर 2 की तैयारी किस तरीके से करनी है, लेकिन अब मैं चाहती हूँ थोड़ा सा डिटेल में पेपर 1 की बात करें. पेपर 1 ऑब्जेक्टिव इन नेचर होता है, तो एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट ऑब्जेक्टिव पेपर्स में होता है इंटेलिजेंट गेसिंग. उसको अपने पूरे प्रोसेस में कैसे इंक्लूड करना है?
Yeah, intelligent guessing. It is something. It also comes with practice, because after you read all those books that I told you about, you need to practice, because you have to take a lot of test series and a lot of tests and see how you are doing it, how well you have understood the concepts. But after understanding the concepts, you have to, sometimes you might not heard about some things which might also come in the question paper. So for that, you need to do intelligent guessing. That is the based on the information that you know, you need to eliminate options. You might not know the right answer straight away, but you need to eliminate options. So for that, you already have a very strong foundation. So that will come easy when you only practice tests. So it is advisable to take at least 10 tests. Then I took around 15 tests, I think, for paper 1. Before appearing for paper 1, I took around 15 tests. And one more thing is that you should not repeat your mistakes. That is the very fundamental thing, the very fundamental concept of taking the test series, because life is too short to repeat your mistakes. So even if a small question you are doing wrong, means go through the explanation in detail. So understand what went wrong, and never repeat that again in your upcoming exams. So that is something you can take away from me.
श्रवण, आपने इस एग्जामिनेशन की तैयारी 2019 से करना शुरू किया, अगर हम CAPF की बात करें तो, और ये एग्जामिनेशन था 2020 में. तो एक साल में किस तरीके से अपने आप को तैयार करना है इस एग्जामिनेशन के लिए?
Yeah, it was. I started in 2019, but it was towards the end of 2019. So I would say I had a solid 6 or 7 months of preparation for this exam, and I think that is more than enough. It is the things that you have to study for this exam. Those things I had already covered for my civils preparation, but I had to go through it once again because I need to be very thorough with the subject matter. So I gone through the I had gone through the NCERTs, and I referred the standard materials, and then I took some practice tests in the last 1 month. I did only the practice tests, and based on that I tried to improve my score with every tests. And I had a very strict range. I used to score from 120 to 160. So only between this, even my worst score is 160 and my best score is 160. And I know this range is where it is going to be. And today the marks finally got released, and I think I scored on the lesser side. My paper one mark was around 125, and which was pretty average compared to my performances in the practice tests.
So now I'll talk about paper 2. पेपर 2 के लिए क्या
Yeah.
बारीकियों का ध्यान रखना है, क्योंकि इंफॉर्मेशन तो बहुत सारा हम अक्वायर कर लेते हैं, लेकिन जो मेन टेस्ट होता है, आप जब एग्जामिनेशन में जो डिमांड है क्वेश्चन की, उस हिसाब से आप वहां पे प्रेजेंट करें.
So in the essays are like the most important thing in paper 2. You have 4 essays. So what you have to do is for every essay, you take 5 minutes out and you form how you are going to approach this essay. Okay. So uh, what I follow is I follow spelt approach. That is SPELT. So in every given topic, I'll talk about the social angle first, S, then political angle, then economic angle, then legal angle, and then finally technological angle. So this is how I approached every question. So this give a holistic perspective to your answer, so that you don't miss out on you don't take one perspective too much and miss out on the other perspectives. That will reduce your marks. Finally, what invigilator is going to see is how holistically you have covered this topic, and how good your understanding is about this particular topic. So it is better to go about it on this kind of approach. You can use spelt approach or whatever you feel comfortable, but try to cover all the different perspectives, include quotations in between whenever possible, and try to give a very apt conclusion. More than introduction, I think a conclusion is of more importance, because only only after reading that, they are going to give you the marks. So the final impression is like the aftertaste of what your performance is going to be, what you have written. So it is better to give a very good conclusion, or I will advise you to go with a predetermined conclusion, even for topics like women empowerment or education or issues of social kind. For those kind of things, you can go with a pre-prepared conclusion, and you can modify it based on the topic that have come on the exam day. So that will definitely boost your essay score. And I think essay is one of the reasons for my high score. I had scored around 114 in paper 2 this time. So I think essays do have a major impact in your paper 2 score.
Shravan, ये बहुत ही holistically you have explained about the essay. If we can share a little more insights about how to choose the essay topic, how to write it in the examination.
Yeah, we have 6 options, and you have to choose 4 out of them. So I would advise you to go which topic you feel very comfortable about, which you had prepared about, which you had practiced about. So there will obviously be some essays which will have the same shade as your practice question. So it is better to go for that, because you can save your time in that, most importantly, and you already had structured it before. So if you had practiced something and it had come for the exam now, it is very advisable that you choose that. And then avoid topics which are very difficult for you. If you do not know a particular word in the essay topic, then it is very advisable that you do not even touch that topic and go for a rather easier one. And choosing the ones with the social issues, that should always be one of the things that one of the essays you choose. I would advise you to do that, because you can write a lot of reports, you can quote a lot of data, you can quote economic survey, budget, etc. for issues of social kind. So that is something where you can score more, where you can structure better, and where you can score more marks.
Shravan, your sister is joining CISF and you're soon going to join the forces. She must have helped you tremendously in your interview process. So, how was your interview experience?
Yeah, my interview experience was very nice. I think thanks to my sister, because she had everything planned out and prepared for me to just take over and approach the interview. I had very little time. After the results were announced, I had around just 20 days to prepare for the interview. So it would have been really difficult for me to gather all the sources, look at different things for the interview. But rather, I had a supportive material which had all the different questions they might ask from my district or my state, or all the common things, common questions that you can expect based on the background of the forces background, etc. So it was really helpful. And my in my interview, I had a Manoj Soni's board, and the board was really cordial. And I was able to answer most of the questions except a few questions on my engineering background, because it was a long time since I completed my engineering. I was not able to answer a couple of questions from that area. But other than that, I was able to give very convincing answers. But after the interview, I was really not very. I don't know how confident I was, how confident the performance was, because everybody was wearing masks. It was very difficult to read their expressions or what they felt about the interview. So I was a little bit nervous about the how they took my answers. But eventually, I think it worked out for me. I scored around 102 marks in my interview. So it also played an important role in getting me the rank that I got.
So, Shravan, आपने अपना interview experience share किया, but this question is on behalf of all the engineering aspirants. As you said that you couldn't answer a couple of questions that were asked from your engineering background. So, what is your advice to all the engineering graduates appearing for the examination? How well prepared they must be with their graduation subjects, and if they are not able to answer any questions, then how should they tackle the question?
Yeah, I think questions from your background is definitely going to feature in your interview. It's because you have spent some considerable amount of your time in your life towards reading a particular subject. So definitely there will be questions. If you are an engineering student, there will be questions. And I was also asked around 5, 6 questions. I was able to handle 4 questions, and I was not able to handle just two out of that. And so it is very important that you go through the basics, the fundamentals. For example, if you are a mechanical engineer, you need to go through the laws, the different laws of thermodynamics, and have a basic understanding about the internal combustion engines, etc. And most of the questions they ask are of practical nature. For example, one of the questions they asked me was, in these days, lorries have so many tires. In those days, we have only 6 or 8 tires in the lorries, but nowadays we have so many tires. What is the reason? That is what they asked. So most of the questions that they ask are of basic nature, basic fundamental nature. And if you understand, if you know the concept, why those things are happening, you can just say that is the concept. And if you say, if you suppose you have no idea about what they're asking, you can politely say, sir, I'm not able to recall, or right now it is not, I cannot answer, I cannot come up with a right answer for this question. So I think that will do for engineering aspirants, but it is a very advisable. Questions will be like, what is your favorite subject in your engineering degree? So those kind of questions you can expect, irrespective of which branch you are. And if suppose you are choosing a subject, have a basic knowledge on that subject as well.
Shravan, how study IQ has been part of your journey?
So I have been depending on StudyIQ for most of the content, the quality content that they put in YouTube. So there will be many videos that I saw, and even for interview, I looked at StudyIQ videos, and I looked at how the previous aspirants who were passed out in 2019 or 2018, their success videos. I have been watching them sincerely because I wanted to learn from their experience, and it is also one of the reasons why I'm doing what I'm doing right now. because I wanted to share my experience and help all the aspirants out there and who want to clear this exam and who is expecting to appear for this exam in 2022.
So glad, Shravan, that you took inspiration from previous toppers and now you yourself are an inspiration to a lot many. So thank you so much, Shravan, for joining us in this interview session. It was absolute pleasure to have you, and the entire team wishes you good health and good luck.